My name is Margarita Zaika, and I graduated from Stevens Institute of Technology with master's in financial engineering in now almost a year ago, December 2021. I got my bachelor's degree from Hunter College in economics, out of all things. But I also had a concentration in statistics because I've always been interested in statistics and mathematics and, not surprisingly, computer science. Um, I started my career as a business analyst and a product manager. And when I was deciding which master's degree I should get, based on my interests, somebody suggested that I should look into financial engineering because it's supposed to be all about statistics. And I applied to Stevens. I got in, and it's been 3 wonderful years, even through the pandemic. And after I graduated from Stevens, I became a business analyst in finance at McKinsey Investment Office. That's where I currently work at. The reason why I chose liquidity as my topic for my thesis is that I always believed that the future of finance lies at the intersection of finance and technology. And I'm also very risk averse by nature, and meeting a lot of people who were affected by 2008 financial crisis made me worry a lot about my own financial future. Things like how the next recession would affect my retirement savings, for example. From economics, recession is an expected phase of the economic cycle. But to my surprise, during my master's degree, I learned that most of the widely used financial models don't really account for that. True, they rely on random events, but the assumption is that things will stay the same forever, which we all know is not going to happen in the long run. Hence, I thought improving the financial field and improving financial models to account for these recessions is a very important step to healthy financial future for everybody. When I was deciding on my thesis topic, I found out that Professor Bostock has done extensive research on outlier event detection, which is of great interest of mine. And when I brought it up to him and told him that I want to continue his research, um, he agreed, and we started talking about liquidity, measuring liquidity to detect outlier events. The problem is liquidity is multidimensional. Each liquidity measure measures something very different, and we don't know which exact liquidity measure affects or detects outliers. So we came up with a way to summarize these liquidity measures, right? Merge them into one model and draw conclusions out of the movement of all of the liquidity measures together. There are too many of them, so we used principal components analysis to reduce dimensionality, which was very useful if we want to measure liquidity in real time, right? Everything is in real time now. Most of the trading is done in real time. We don't wait for the day to finish to place a trade. So we need these measures. We need to assess the liquidity right here, right now, which is hard to do when you have complex computations on 100 liquidity measures. So that is exactly what we did. We built a model to detect outliers. We even proposed new liquidity measures that I believe that they were missing. They were measuring something different that has not been measured before, and one of the more important questions in the research that we were trying to answer was the direction of liquidity, right? When you have high liquidity or you have low liquidity, you would have a different course of action. So that is something that we also did. The main challenges that I had were, I don't think they were that significant. Um, First challenge was a personal one. I had a full time job, and I had to, school was always done. Schoolwork was always done on the weekends or late nights, and but it's really doable. It's tiring. It's hard, but it's not completely impossible. The second challenge, I think, was because of COVID, which was really not a challenge because we were already meeting on Zoom um, every other week with Professor Bozdog. So meeting on Zoom every week was really not a problem. And I could always email the professor, and he would always respond very quickly. So it's not like I couldn't reach him. That was not an issue at all. So I don't think COVID was that much of a challenge. The biggest challenge thesis wise was more technical. My computer was really not up to task to process that much information, right? Financial engineering, there's a lot of computer science going on. There are a lot of calculations, and I had to get a new computer, which helped me tremendously. It was one of the best investments I did into my education, because then I didn't need to wait, for the computer for half an hour to process one piece of code. Um, so that I think that was one of the bigger challenges. So I know Stevens has a lab, but it was hard to use during COVID. So I decided to rely on my own computer at home. So that is how I overcame my biggest challenge. The impact of my master's thesis. Well, my salary increased. Obviously, that's not the most important thing. Um, Personally, the biggest impact the thesis had was challenging me myself academically. Think about it, when you are taking a course, right? There is an expectation of what you're going to learn at the end of the course. The same thing with any kind of homework. There is a result that's already predetermined, right? You're already going to get to that result, and you're going to learn how to get there. But in doing thesis work, you don't know what the result is going to be, right? Sure, you have a plan, you have theory, and you hope that everything works out the way that you want it to, but that is not the case. You're going to get results that you don't like. You're going to apply models that do not work. And I'm very grateful to Professor Bozdog that he helped me navigate those waters. He had a lot of suggestions, a lot of advice on which way the research should go and how I should solve the issues that I was facing. And the second thing that I hope will impact my thesis will have an impact on is the future research of the outlier events. Outlier events, it's, I think the topic is very important for any part of finance. Well, I mean, rare events are very important anywhere, but specifically in finance, I don't think anybody should be facing, the last years before their retirement and seeing their 401k going 50% down. That should not be happening. right? These events should be expected, these events should be studied, and we should be able to solve this problem, to soften how we react to recession and to the economic downturn. My experience at Stevens as a master's student, I'm sure I didn't get the full experience of a regular student because I did not live on campus. I was traveling every time um, to the class. But I do believe that Stevens taught me a lot. I made a lot of good friends. I met a lot of great professors, which I hope I will keep the relationship with for a long time. And I do think that Stevens is going forward with the technology, with the research, on par with the rest of the world, especially professional world. Everything that I learned in Stevens so far, I have been using at work, and it helped me greatly. And I think that's one of the biggest indicators is ahead of the curve, that the people don't stop at what they know. They search for new ways to improve the way that courses are taught, the material is presented, which I find it very flexible and very useful, especially in my situation when I had a full-time job. Suggestion for the upcoming students who are interested in finance and research at Stevens. I think my main suggestion would be is we all have an idea, right, in mind, what interests us and what field of study we want to be in and who we want to be in the future. But I think we shouldn't close the door to the opportunities that might spark your interest during your research or during your even just regular classes. Something might change your mind, and just because you already decided where your future is going to be, um, it can always change, right? It can always be something different. It's not just one path that everybody has to take. There's only not only one path to great career, right? Everybody has their own way of advancing. So I believe we all should be looking for opportunities and that are different from what we already decided for ourselves. Um, I do think that Stevens is very good with time management. You have wide array of classes at different times. So if time management is your issue, Stevens will help you. You can always plan classes outside of work hours, or if you want to be a full-time student, you can be a full-time student and take classes during the day, and but you still get the same experience no matter which way you go, which I thought was really cool. And it just contributed a lot for me to like Stevens.